Hey, I'm Ben, and this is Ferrocement House Build Part 15. We're going to be up on the roof again. I know this will make the third video where we're decking the roof, but we're almost done. The primary part of this video is finishing out the overhang, getting whatever the fascia board, trimming the soffits, shaping everything up. But it was actually, a fair amount of work getting this finished out the way we did, because each one of these is an angle. So we cut these rafters at an angle for our fascia board, and then finished out the deck with treated, and then painted it sky blue. I think the next episode is back to actual concrete work, and by concrete work I mean a French drain. So yeah, the lower retaining wall, put a French drain around that for the next episode. So this isn't your flavor. Check in next time, because these, even to me, finishing out this roof, the 3 roof decking videos, I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm gonna, it's boring. The first one was cool, the second one had some interesting parts, but then after a while it's just like, oh my god, what am I doing? And I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm doing it. I'm making a third one. Alright, well, I got the first batch done, and I went back looking for some more, dry treated lumber. This is a little bit more wet, so I'm hoping I can get it processed and installed fast enough that it won't warp on me. These were the driest they had, but they're still, they're wet. I'm just going to break them down in 5-foot pieces. And I'm going to show you what I worked out with the Dado and cutting the tongue and groove. So, wish me luck. So the cover plate I have for the Dado requires the Dado to be kicked out a little bit, and the shaft on this table saw isn't all that long. Basically, the outer washer, I just put that on there, put the first layer on, and then I put one shim in between each one, and that actually works out great for giving me that 9/16 groove that I need. Stack the plates here. I don't remember which shim I used. Some of them are thicker than others, so I'm just gonna use that thick one. I try to get these staggered. When they're staggered like that, it really quiets down the saw. See, without that spacer, it interferes there. Since the Dado is so offset from the center, and I had some problems with the previous run, so when I was cutting the groove, I would cut one side, and then I would flip it around and cut the other side, and then the groove would fall down in that slot, and it would give me a I don't know what this is called, a little wane to my groove, which wasn't really a problem because those boards are so long I was able to cut it off. But anyways, this time I'm going to run them down this side, and that means I'll put the guide over here. So I want to have a 9/16 tongue. So the green boards, the treated boards, are in proper 1.5 inches. I'm going to leave just under 1 1/16 inch. And if that's too wide for the tongue, I can change it later. And then it also needs to be 5/16 high, a little bit high. I'll try that. I can bring it up if I need to. Let's do a real quick one. pretty good fit. The tongue's a little short. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm gonna deepen my cuts a bit. And I went too far, of course. That's just a hair too tall still. Alright, so here's a nice fit. Almost perfect. Ooh. Yeah, it's at 1/2 inch. That's okay. Alright, so I just ran this through here, and it's not quite big enough. It's more or less, let's see, it's exactly 1/2 inch, right? And so I made this 9/16 ish. So I'm going to install one more plate into the Dado. This is a 1/16 of an inch wide plate, and that should get me there. Well, I'm making pretty good progress with this roof. I'm working on the overhang right now. I got two 2x6s, and then I'm going to finish it off with a single 2x4. But excited. Progress is always exciting. Alright, so part of the overhang here, this is the homemade tongue and groove out of the treated 2x6s. And then we're installing these straps that wrap up and over so we can strap down the roof real well. The Cabot's timber oil has held up for a decent amount of time, but the ends of these boards are starting to look pretty bad. It's like, I don't know if it's evaporating or what. I'm going to recoat them before I finish covering up, just to try to stop this, but they're about to be out of the weather. Let me find a particularly bad example. Cracking in this one is, I don't know, it's not good. But here we go. Look at what the sun has done to this Cabot's timber oil. The boards are cracking, drying out too fast. These are the boards that sat and dried for about a decade before we used them, and they're still cracking in the sun. We're getting a good overhang all the way around. Here, so do you remember this section? This is the first of the homemade tongue groove I did, and we used a groover and a piece of 3/8 plywood in there. Say 3/8, is that 3/8? A quarter? I don't remember. If I discontinued that. Since these treated boards still had a little bit of moisture to them, so I went ahead and did these pocket screws, sucking them up so as they dry, they can't go anywhere. Alright, so a couple days ago, maybe, I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 days ago, I went ahead and processed all these 2x4s into, put tongues on them for the majority of the roof, and then grooved them and put these splines in them for that section up there, which I just showed you. And these 2x4s, I mean, I couldn't find any really dry ones. I found the driest ones I could. So I strapped them up and sandwiched them, hoping to keep them fairly straight and flat. So they've been sitting here for a few days. They no longer feel wet, but they still feel kind of cool to the touch. So, it is what it is. But I'm going to get them painted today. So this is an extra piece of the spline, and even though it's treated, we're still trying to keep some of the UV off of it and whatever. Try to prep it in such a way it could last forever. So I sealed the spline with some sort of Thompson's deck sealer. I sealed the groove with the deck sealer, and then this is just primer, top and bottom. I put a pigment in it because we were trying to, we were messing around with we were like, oh, let's paint it sky blue, and maybe we won't get wasps and dirt daubers and carpenter bees and whatever. So this is the first shot at sky blue. This was called air blue, and it doesn't match our skies at all. But it clashes a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, these are still very wet on the insides. I might be breaking a few child labor laws here. All right, baby. So see how it's a little heavy and runny there? You want to sort of feather out the paint when it gets a blob on it. But try not to go over what we did too many times. Leave it there, and then you work into it. We'll make a painter out of you yet, okay?
This is fun.
So each one of these end pieces is turning out like super custom in shape and size, cutting all four sides. So I had to cut the tongue on it, and then I cut the angles on the ends, and I did a tapered bevel cut to match our 4 and 12 roof. And now I'm painting them all the way around. Even though they're treated, I want them to last forever. Be a hard worker. Well, I got my little super custom end piece here. See if I shave the tongue down enough to go in. I might need to make it smaller, but we'll see. I installed this piece loose with no screws or anything, and then I mark what I'm going to cut off. Then, on the pieces I'm going to cut, first, I need several measurements to make this piece work. So, it appears to have a slight, crown this way. So I need the length of the long cut on the bottom so I can do my tapered cut to match the 4 and 12 angle to parallel. So 2 9/16. Kind of a long one. Alright, we're just going to go the full width of this, 3 1/8. And the length we're going to go 33 3/8. No, 53 3/8. 53 3/8. Most importantly, we need the angles of these cuts. So I just do that analog, right? Got my little angle finding device. I'm just going to mark these on here, and after I mark it, I do a quick double check so I didn't change it. Those are all the measurements I need. I have the width, I have the length of each end, and I have the angle that the board needs to be. So these get a ton of work on them. So first of all, I cut the little tongue in it with a dado, and I have to angle the ends to match the roof, and then I have to cut it down the width it needs to be to match this. And then I cut off the corners of these to match the angle there. It's crazy. I know it's crazy, but I'm almost done. Just got 6 more of these to go. I'm gonna take this one down and paint it. I'm gonna show you how I'm doing my little tapered cut on these things. So, this is the top. I measured the long point, sort of, here. I don't know the length of the long point, but I measured along this angle. And this is 3 1/8. So hold this up here at the end. You go 1, 2, 3 1/8. This other side is 2 9/16. So then I have this straight edge. And I just line this up on my marks. And this is treated. I mean, you should always wear a dust mask, but especially when it's treated. So our roof is a 4 12, and 4 12 is at a slope of something around, let's see, it's like 18.43 degrees or something. So I'm somewhere on my table saw around 18.5 degrees. I have my guide set where the top of the blade pops out right at the top of the guide here, so I can use my top marks, which it's all kind of reverse of what you're supposed to do, but it works. So I cut that off. And then I have this. See that? So another modification to the board I have to do is solely because I got better at using the Dado as I went on. And so the first boards I used, I made the groove wasn't quite 9/16 wide. And then as I got better, I figured out how to actually get my tongue to be 9/16 wide. So now I'm trying to put, you know, a 9/16 wide tongue into a 1/2 inch groove, and that's just not gonna work. So I got this little planer, you know, the 0 edge right there. I just give it a few passes on either side. And I can whittle my tongue down to match this first set of boards I made. And I also like to taper the edge just a little. So it can align itself and get started. Yep. There we go. And that'll cram in there real nice. Still have to hammer it in, but at least I can get it out to finish painting it. While I'm getting ready to cut my rafter tails, I made a little, you know, template so I can do my 2 cuts. Because right now we have our 4 12 roof coming down to a level, what would that be? A plumb cut, and then we're going to have just a 2x4 fascia board, and I went ahead and I cut, you know, the same 4 12 angle, which is, you know, just a little under 18.5 degrees here, where the bottom of this 2x4 will meet this angled cut here and this. So I don't know. I was really hoping I could use my skill saw, but since we have double 2x6 rafters, you know, none of my skill saws, I don't know if any skill saw can cut, you know, 3 inches. All, you know, I have one that cuts 2 1/4, one that cuts 2 1/2. So I'm gonna have to use the reciprocating saw, which isn't as, I don't know, it's not as precise, but I got belt sanders and stuff. I can clean all this up, whatever cut I get, make it nice. But yeah, we're just doing the 2x4 fascia board so we can maintain as much of the, let's look at this. So we can maintain, you know, as much as the view as possible through our windows. It would be nice to be able to stand a few places and see the sky. You know, the farther away from the windows we are, where are they? You know, the more view we're gonna have, but I don't know. All right, I'm gonna do my first cut on the back, just in case it's ugly. All right. It's got my little template here. Let's I'm gonna mark it on both sides just so as I cut, I have a reference on this side. Yeah, when I laminate these together, I use screws to hold them in place. Because if you remember in a previous video, I planed them, glued them, clamped them, screwed them. So I'm just gonna move this screw someplace back here. So here's something I'm not real sure how it's going to work out. So these are not square. They have a, you know, they have an angle to them, right? So when I cut across here to make a flat cut, what's that angle going to do to me? Is it going to go like a little V? Because I'm going to have my boards butt up square to each other. Do I need to mark a straight line across here? I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Nothing left to do but just try and give her a cut. Okay, I am going to have to get some safety goggles because I'm getting too much, there's way too much dust in my eyes. Fuck. That's right. I'm an idiot. Listen, you've made it to whatever video this is going to be just to learn how stupid I am. Alright, so just a little proof of concept here. I got this side pretty good. I know, I got it damn near perfect. And then on this side I missed the mark slightly. Didn't quite get deep enough, right? I don't know if I want to belt. Yeah, I'll just belt sand that off. I don't know. If I can do the rest a little bit better than this, I'll be happy. Now here's what I'm gonna do. So, you know, 2x4s are 3.5 inches wide. So from the top to the bottom, 3.5 inches. So I marked 3.5 inches from this point, and so you can see a little downward angle. I'm gonna see if that line turns into this line. What am I looking at? Yeah, I'm gonna see if this line. Holy shit. I'm going to see if this is the same plane as this. So if I can just try to cut it off all in one piece. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, well I think that's going to work. We'll need a little bit of cleanup, but whatever. I'm running out of video on the roof build that has a cohesive narrative. You may remember that I restarted this house build video series pretty recently, back in, what was it, 2022, with part 11 of Ferrocement house build coming out. And part 10 had come out back in 2018. So we're talking 4 years with no updates from me on this project. This means that all the recent videos, part 11 through 15, they were all recorded back in 2018. You know, so I took this huge break from YouTube and an even longer break from the Ferrocement house project. And I mean, that was due to my personal life kind of collapsing and becoming this, absolute living hell. You know, my marriage collapsed. COVID happened. Got trapped doing, homeschool with the kid, and then child custody case went out. You know, this build has always been a passion project, and recording it and working on it just wasn't possible when I was so miserable. After this video, we're moving forward to new work in this new era of my life. We're not going to have, the best conclusion of how we trimmed out this roof, but that'll be fine. I'm going to conclude this video with the footage that I have remaining from 2018. And then in part 16, we're picking back up with brand new stuff. And it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And by the way, I'm engaged to a wonderful, glorious woman who loves me, and my life is full of joy and happiness again. So it's a lot easier to work on these passion projects. But anyways, let's see what my dad's up to on the roof with his foam. Say, Dad, can you explain the reasoning of the materials we're using here?
Well, we put down the 2-inch polyisocyanurate foam, which is a common roofing underlayment, because it would give us a smooth base to put our additional layers of spray polyurethane foam on top of. And I'd like the whole thing to kind of come out in an amorphous shape, like a mushroom, rather than with all these sharp angles on it. And also 2 inches of this is theoretically cheaper than 2 inches of spray polyurethane foam. Although by the time you consider the labor that goes into all this, it's kind of a moot point. And then we cut it kind of loose because of the complexity, because there's 18 sides here and 18 pie shapes, and it's not symmetrical, so every one is a little bit different, although it looks about the same. And I am putting foam in between the sheets of board to seal them somewhat from air, and if it should rain before we get the next layer on, protective layer on top of this, maybe it will keep some of the water from going underneath. And then it gives us an air barrier too, as far as traditional insulation does.
So then the first layer of our roof is 2x6 tongue and groove wood, which we finished on the inside to be the finished surface. And then we put this storm shield self-adhesive water barrier. They make this stuff for valleys of roofs, any place that might back up with water from ice buildup or whatever. And then the foam, and then we're going to probably prime the foam with something before we get the spray foam crew out here to put another couple inches on it. And then we're just going to have a elastomeric roof coating on top of that. So we might have, what would that be? About maybe 4 inches of foam. And
hopefully a little more.
Yeah, 4 or 5 inches of foam, and then we'll get, wood has a little bit of R value. I think it's like point something per inch, not a whole lot. But we might get I don't know, at least minimum R35, 6, something like that. I'm not sure. Alright, so we just emptied the can. We do a little quick maintenance to the gun, make sure it doesn't go south on us. So the old can, and just dump it. And then you got a can of gun cleaner. I'm gonna go ahead and spray that out right there. Just keep it a little bit cleaner. Then you screw on your gun cleaner and in a proper receptacle. You spray it till it's clean. I'm gonna turn down the flow just a little. So just a reminder of what our ceiling looks like. Way up there. So all this is tongue and groove 2x6, some of it homemade, some of it store-bought. And that's our finished surface right there. And then in the very center, there's a 4x4 skylight. That's pretty bright. And then we're doing the outsulation on top of it. Then before we got the ice shield on, got a little bit of water damage. So you see, so there's some dark marks. And then, you know, over here, I've sanded it down, bleached it a couple times. Trying to see if I can lighten it up before I refinish it. But we don't have that problem anymore because now it's waterproof. Whoa!
I'll roll it up. I remove the backing layer. What I've discovered is important is that you deal with this thing here. Because if you try to work with it in your hand, it'll re-stick. And then I just slowly sort of roll it back down in place. This is a foot technique for getting adherence. I was taught that by Robin Foot. Or we did it with concrete. Pull my pins. Fill this back down. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
This is not really SBS roofing. It is actually underlayment, the kind they use on valleys and to prevent ice damming, like the fire and ice, or this one is, I think it's Armorflex, made by a different company. I did not intend to do that. But this is only a temporary roof to protect the sheet foam underneath it until we can get the spray foam guy out here to make this whole thing look like it's a giant mushroom.
Yeah.
Now it's getting too hot in the day, so I'm actually, with this stuff, you can actually potentially damage your roof by walking on it. This is not real modified bitumen. It's an SBS or modified bitumen product, but it's not a real roofing product. It's an underlayment, but it has 60 days. That's what they say. So it can stand up to the weather for 60 days. If we don't get up here and walk on it, it'll keep the foam underneath dry. Okay.